All right, it is Monday, and no better way to start the week than to be joined by the incredible Sunny Hostin here behind the table.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, Sunny. Let's start by talking about this. We talked about this in the first hot topic today. Mm-hmm. President Trump is saying, and no one's taking it particularly seriously, I don't think, but it's also, you can't just ignore these things that are just crazy.
Yeah.
That he's considering revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. With Rosie being a U.S. citizen, I believe you know the answer to this, but is this something he can legally do?
No, he can't. The 14th Amendment is pretty clear about birthright citizenship.
Yes.
If you're a naturalized citizen and you commit crimes, if you do certain things, there is a process by which your citizenship can get revoked. But if you were born here in the United States, Rosie was born in Long Island or on Long Island. I don't know how you say it.
As was I.
You can't do that unless, she's committed treason or she herself says, I don't want to be a citizen.
She can renounce her own
citizenship. She can renounce her own citizenship. But, so it's silly. But the part of it that I think is telling is that you see sort of the fact that he is so drunk with power and that he has enough hubris to even throw that out there to attack parts of the Constitution in that way. Thinks he's a king. I mean, he certainly thinks he's Superman, right? He's got this Superman meme that the White House, I thought it was a fake account.
No, it was the White House put that out.
It was actually the White House account with a picture that didn't really look like Donald Trump.
No.
In this
rudimentary Photoshop, I think.
In this Superman costume. So I think the tell here is we should be a little concerned when the president of the United States is saying, I'm thinking about doing this, because we know that he's surrounded by enablers. And the Supreme Court has sort of enabled a couple of these wild and crazy ideas, at least to the extent that we never thought that the Supreme Court would bend and trample on longtime precedent. So I don't take anything with a grain of salt.
No, I think you're right to do that. I mean, the take that Anna had, and I think she's right, is that it's a distraction because all this Epstein stuff is going on and he's just trying to change the news cycle with crazy talk. But at the same time, when you think about the idea that so many things that we would have thought were crazy talk in the past have happened, and also the fact that any other president saying something like this would have been the most shocking thing in the world.
Yes. But he says
George W. Bush saying he's going to take someone's citizenship away would have been insane.
He says so many things that I think people are being desensitized to it, which is why I'm still paying attention.
Mm-hmm. It's that whole flooding the zone thing.
Yeah, I think we need to pay attention because he may slip in something that is that. I mean, that's quite dangerous to say I'm going to take away someone's citizenship that was born here. It's just as dangerous as saying I'm going to, take away visas from Harvard, rightfully admitted Harvard students. It's just as alarming to me that he would say something like, I'm going to send undocumented immigrants to countries that they aren't from.
El
like
Salvador.
All of those things are pretty insane sounding, but some of them have happened.
Yeah. Speaking of things people are paying close attention to, the Epstein files are still an ongoing topic of conversation. They have been for years. I think the entire time I've worked here, people have been talking about it.
Yeah.
But now people in the MAGA camp are demanding answers. What do you think? I mean, do you think there's anything here? Do you think there are things in the Epstein files that are being kept away from us because of a cover-up? Or do you think there are things that are just being protected because there are children involved? Or do you think there's nothing there at all? What is your read on it? I think
it's a combination of the first two, actually. Mm-hmm. I mean, if there certainly are videos and pictures with underage children, that's horrific. Those are crimes. And if those exist, then certainly that wouldn't be disseminated in the public. But if they do exist, then there should be some accountability. There should be investigations. There should be, if these people if the perpetrators are still alive, there should be some accountability and perhaps criminal trials, right? The other thing is, I don't understand if there is no list, why not just say at the start, there is no list,
right?
As opposed to saying the list is on my desk, there is a list, wait till you see the list, Obama made the list, Hillary made the list. Let's see it then. So if there isn't a list, why, if there is a list, why isn't it being disseminated? And that's what's leading to the conspiracy theories, that there are people that are on the list that could get in trouble for being on this alleged list.
Now, devil's advocate would be
it's such circular reasoning, though,
well,
when you start thinking about it.
You can go around in circles for days, and it is interesting and fascinating. But you'd think now, for instance, people that on the Trump side of things would say, well, if Donald Trump was implicated somewhere, or if powerful people in this administration were implicated somewhere, Biden would have put this out there. But the results of the Biden investigation were very similar to this, saying there's no there.
Yes.
There's nothing else to share.
I think the problem is there may not be any list. Mm-hmm. There may be nothing to share, but they lied about it. And then that erodes trust in government.
Right.
And we do know that this administration floods the zone. This administration, at least this president, lied, I don't know, over 30,000 times during his last administration. Everybody can just, chat GPT that stat. But people knew he lied, and they didn't seem to care because they voted for him anyway. So it's not unusual that the administration would lie on his behalf. What is unusual to me is that they seem to care about it this time.
Yeah.
They seem to care. And it seems like the administration is on its heels, right?
Well, they're kind of backed into a corner, because if the base is upset about Pam Bondi, who Trump is backing up right now and saying she's doing a great job, but let's say he changes his mind and they replace Pam Bondi, the next person will be under the exact same amount of pressure,
and they'll
to
have to
something.
say there's a list or there is no list.
Right. And to hear again from someone else there isn't a list, I don't know that's going to change anybody's feelings about this.
It's a tough spot that they're in. If all the things that he's done hasn't taken him out, but this takes him down, the Epstein files, I would be shocked.
It's the one thing that seems to be bothering his base.
I would just be shocked. I mean, all these other things don't bother his base.
But they also
all the human rights violations.
But I will say that up to this point, most of the critiques are not of Donald Trump, even from his supporters. They're of the people around him.
Yes.
Everyone's being very careful to separate. I don't know what the logic of that is.
I mean, Signalgate didn't take out Pete Hegseth,
no.
and this is Epstein Gate is going to take out the List Gate. Is going to take out Pam Bondi. I'm just shocked at that.
All right. Well, the other big story that we haven't spoken to you since this happened, I can't believe that, is Sean Diddy Combs. We talked about it on the show, but we haven't had you on the podcast since the verdict.
Yeah.
He was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering charges, as you suggested he would be this whole time.
Not suggested, I predicted.
Yes. And then he was found guilty of 2 prostitution charges.
Yeah. Transportation of prostitution, which is the Mann Act.
So what happens next? We talked about how you were surprised he wasn't given bail.
I was, and I don't know why that made so much news.
It made a lot of news,
because I've spoken to a lot of former federal prosecutors. In fact, this past weekend I spoke to a judge.
Right.
And she too was very surprised at that, just because when someone is found, not guilty on the highest counts and is found guilty of a law that's as antiquated as the Mann Act, a law that even Governor Spitzer wasn't charged with, wasn't prosecuted for. People rarely are prosecuted for the Mann Act. Bail is not supposed to be punitive. It's just supposed to be a set of conditions that can be put together to make sure that person returns to court. And it's pretty easy to do that in this case. All you would have to do would be take away his plane, which has already been taken. You take away his passport. You give him a really, really hefty bail, like $50 million, something that he wouldn't want to lose. And you put him on monitoring, and you put him under house arrest. It happens more often, I think, than people think about.
Right, with very powerful people.
With very powerful people, and sometimes not very powerful people. So I'm surprised that people don't know that, but then again...
Well, it got written up a lot, and I think the reason it got written up, it was a clickbait version of it, as though you were feeling empathy for him and poor Diddy locked up. No, you're talking about it as an expert.
It's just the law. As a legal expert, I mean, this was an unusual thing that this judge did. And I was speaking to my friend who is a judge, and she said that she thought because the sentencing was October 7th, perhaps this judge is going to give him time served. And say, okay, now he's already served, over a year in prison. I'm going to give him 2 years with credit for time served, good time credit, which is about 85. He would have to serve like 85% of the sentence, and then he would get out pretty quickly. So perhaps just keep him in and then let him out. That's a theory that a lot of legal experts are floating around. I'm not so sure, having seen this judge, and seen him in the courtroom, he seems to be very, very, as he should, very bothered by the Mann Act counts. But I would also say this: I am really surprised that the Southern District of New York tried this as a RICO case and tried this as a sex trafficking case. Yeah. I mean, from opening statements, I told you, Brian.
Right, and you were shocked when you went to the courtroom and heard what they had.
They didn't have it. In D.C., where I prosecuted cases, I wouldn't have even been able to get this to the grand jury. My chief would have said, "Are you serious right now?" Like, the attorney general wouldn't have let me do that. Like, it was very odd to me when I saw the evidence that they laid out in their opening statement, which is what you do in opening statements, that they didn't have it.
So somebody who's not Diddy, who's John Smith, and gets convicted of those prostitution charges,
they go home.
They go home.
They go home on federal monitoring.
That's what I was going to say. And what do they serve generally? Is there an average?
They generally, with somebody that doesn't have any priors.
Yeah.
Even somebody with a domestic violence background, they probably get time served after spending 10 months in
okay, so
jail.
It'd be unlikely for him to spend a long time in jail.
Yes, or just a regular person, absolutely. And quite frankly, I don't know what the stats are, but I would love to know how many people are really prosecuted under
that was my other question.
Under the Mann Act. I mean, I would guess it's less than 1%. That's a guess, but it doesn't. It's a very old statute. People don't really use it.
Well, all right. I want to talk about something else because we had Julie Bowen on the show today talking about.
She was great. She had a lot of energy.
She does. She's terrific. She was talking about empty nesters. And this is something you've been talking about all season long, really. We talked about it on the Weekend View. We talked about it on the show a lot of times. And it's something you feel like people don't talk about enough.
They don't.
It's now been a year since you've had an empty nest.
Yeah.
How are you feeling 1 year later?
I feel better.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little easier because Gabriel graduated and then came back home, and Paloma came home for the summer.
Right.
So the nest is full again.
Yes.
But now I know that she's going to be leaving again, and he actually is going to be working somewhere as well. So the nest will be empty. But I'm feeling more comfortable. Manny and I have been traveling more. We're going to date nights more.
That's great.
And so it's been.
Has he started wearing clothes?
He started wearing clothes around the house, not making coffee in his boxers. So it's been good. But I will say something that Julie Bowen said that was so interesting to me. She said, when your kids leave, they poop the nest. And that's because baby birds do that.
Yeah.
And my son, not so much poop the nest. But Paloma certainly pooped the nest, man. Like, she went out with a flash. And she's come back home and is kind of pooping the nest, too.
I believe her term was soiling the nest. But yes, we can,
soiling the nest.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, it just it makes it so clear. I have such clarity on it because they want to sort of flex their independence.
Absolutely.
And it's hard as a mom to see them. They do call you things like bruh. And there's this informality that starts happening. Like, you're not the boss of me anymore. And it's a little tough.
Did you get that? So my oldest daughter she's a 13-year-old. She's becoming more and more of a teen each year.
Yes.
And she's about to turn 14 in a couple months. And I'm starting to see a little bit of that too.
Yes.
And it's natural and it's
and you
age
want
appropriate.
That.
You do want it to a point.
You want them to be independent.
Yes.
You want them to be able to speak their minds. At least I wanted that.
Yeah, I do too.
I wanted them to know their value. I wanted them to push back on things that they didn't believe in. I wanted them to have these core values. That crap comes back to bite you when they're like, I don't agree with you. I think you have low emotional intelligence. And they start saying all these things and you're giving them these words. Like I would always say to my kids, use your words. And now they're using a lot of them. And I'm really annoyed.
Well, also you have the double-edged sword because for all the successful parenting you've done and everything you've been able to give them, you've sent them to some of the greatest schools in the world.
They're really freaking smart.
Yeah. And now
annoyed.
They may soon believe they're smarter than their mother, of course.
They already believe that.
Yeah, see, this is tough.
It's really annoying.
Yeah. I mean, you went to some great schools, but Harvard's tough to compete with.
Cornell.
And Cornell's
How do
tough
I
to
compete with
with
that? There's a meme of Monique that people can look up. And she says, since you got your degree and you think you know everything. That's how I feel. Every time Gabriel says something, I'm like, oh, since you got your little degree and you think you know everything.
Well,
they think they know everything.
Of course. And I think that's
ChatGPT doesn't help either.
No.
It's not the equivalent of my 30 plus years of legal experience, but they think it is.
It might be able to give you some comebacks. You can work on it.
Oh,
all right.
gosh.
All right. Let me ask you about this, because there's a debate being sparked by Gabrielle Union, a big friend of our show.
Yes, I love
and
Gab.
Dwayne Wade, on dogs and if they belong in the bedroom.
Oh.
This is a big conversation. Now, you're an avid dog lover, but where do you stand on this? Do you sleep with the dogs in the bed ever?
No.
No.
I mean, to be fair, my Newfies are 150 pounds.
Yes.
However, I've had Cocker Spaniels.
Right.
I rescued a terrier. I rescued a miniature poodle. Not in the bed. The dogs are outside a lot.
Okay,
and
so you don't even have house dogs, really. Yeah. Or no, you do.
I have house dogs, but they go outside and they do their business and they lick their stuff.
Yep.
And then, and they
it's
can
not
have
sanitary.
ticks and stuff and dirt. Like, I really don't understand when people kiss their dogs in the mouth.
My daughters do that.
I don't like the kissing of the dogs in the mouth. Like, the dogs are cleaning their personal parts. It's just
also not great for a marriage.
Gross.
I'm going to be honest with you. So when I first got married, we had a big chocolate lab who I loved to death. And I would get up.
That dog wasn't in the bed,
she
right?
She was. And I would and she'd be at the foot of the bed. And then I'd go to the bathroom at 2:00 in the morning, and I'd come back, and she'd be in my spot, and there'd be no place for me, and I'd be at the foot of the bed.
Why not just put a little doggy bed near the bed?
We have a golden doodle now, and
Yeah.
that dog kind of roams the house throughout the night.
Yeah.
And will be at the foot of the bed in whatever pile I've left there.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. But my wife, I think, would, if she had her druthers, would allow the dog in the bed.
That's a big dog.
It is like 50 pounds. Yeah, I say no.
I don't like it. I think it's unsanitary.
I agree. Now, I'm curious. We need to ask the other host.
It's just thinking about it.
Yeah, the other host, because I got to think Cha-Cha. I mean, Cha-Cha has never been more than 12 feet away from Anna ever, I don't think. And
she probably kisses her in the mouth.
Bernie, very codependent with Joy.
Probably kisses her in the mouth, too.
Herbie loves Alyssa. She's very close with her dog.
Probably kisses those dogs in the mouth,
I think so.
too.
And Sarah certainly did kiss her dogs on the mouth. She doesn't have any dogs right now, but that certainly happened.
No.
What's Manny's take on this?
Oh, no.
No, nothing.
No, he doesn't even think they belong in the bedroom.
Really? Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
All right, so we'll find out. I think people feel very strongly about this. How are you about dogs in restaurants?
Whew. Like a service dog?
Maybe, or like a
service dog makes sense.
Yeah, a service. But there's something like emotional support service dogs that maybe
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that. Okay, as long as it's actually doing
just
something.
like a regular hound and a dog, like my dog in the restaurant. Why would I bring my dog to a restaurant?
I don't know. But with that, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining me today, Sunny.
Thank you.
Tomorrow I'll be back here with Sarah, and we will see you then.